Hello, Internet. Sorry I'm late as usual. You can blame me. I am the worst. This is just what's happening. And so, once again, this award winning podcast is brought to you by my stupidity. But more on that later. Love doing the radio host voice. And just listen to my own voice in general, actually. But yes, this is the Tech Off Topic podcast. Surprisingly, I've actually been prepared this year and have actually had guests quite regularly. Editing withstanding, sorry everybody, I will get it done. But yes, this week we have a repeat offender, I think is the only way to describe them. Just introduce yourself.
Hello, lovely listeners, and welcome to another episode of Tech Off Topic, where Mike has agreed to let me come on and talk shit for a couple of hours. Yeah, I'm Eli. I'm very good at talking shit for a couple of hours. One of my strengths. We work together now.
You literally just stole my thunder and ripped off my gig.
You knew what you were signing up for.
Bastard. And yes, if those of you who didn't see the post, Eli is taking the poor life choice of working with me for a while.
Hey, I'm getting paid, so you know that's you listen. We work in DevRel. It could be worse. Starting off strong.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eli has already tried making me choke on my non-alcoholic. Yes, I'm actually drinking a non-alcoholic IPA first. I've fallen in love with this brewery called Mash Gang. They make really, really, really good low ABV and zero ABV beers.
Nice, good.
And
those should exist.
Don't worry, I've got two others of a slightly more suitable volume, but I thought, look, let's start with the easy one first.
Listen, I did PubConf sober last week, so I'm not, I'm not going to say, oh, you got to drink to be unhinged, because God knows I manage it sober. But I
can confirm. Eli is almost unhinged in professional meetings as I am. It is quite entertaining to watch somebody go, oh God, they're going down the rabbit hole with me.
Oh yeah, we do manage to eventually bring it back and be like, okay, we're wasting other people's time. Let's get back on track.
But yes, this is a first because people may not know, but my our boss, Julie, is a very good friend of mine and also happens to follow the rabbit hole. But the problem is she struggles to come back on target. But Eli surprisingly is very, very use the force on that one.
Yeah, I can be disciplined about it, but it's a skill that comes from having really badly needed that skill.
The ADHD is strong with this one.
Oh yeah.
But yes, so this week's Tech Off Topic is usual madness, and unfortunately, Eli is going to make it worse for me. Like the initial two show notes. One, luckily, we're not going to be doing because I did it last week with Steve with the episode that's 3/4 edited.
Right, which I didn't tune into live because I was at a conference. So sorry, I'm not up to date. No, London. And at that point, I was writing my PubConf talk a few hours before needing to give it, which is the standard way. So I'm not up to date on the Tech Off Topic law. You're gonna have to.
I hate the idea that like the term law can be used with this unhinged insanity. But yes, anyway, moving back on. You know what? Due to the fact that I was a terrible host, and I decided I was going to start buying beverages for people that were living within postable range, and I forgot to get Eli a drink because Eli, the last time you took part in this, not only did you get the entertainment of me stabbing myself in the butt cheeks with a chair, you got beverages as part of the deal of coming into the room, and I've not honored that for the second time around. I am sorry, but that means
make it up with interest.
First pick on random tech crap that we start on.
Ooh. Did you talk about the second point? Which is not really news exactly, I guess. It's just I've been seeing a lot of it on Twitter.
I think I may have put a link in for this.
Very possibly.
It's the Sky one.
I don't see it. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, here we go. Yes. Okay. So the topic that we are going to discuss first is Tesla Cybertruck, and also all the videos that we've been seeing on the interwebs of the most desperately uncool people in the entire world who are driving a Cybertruck while using the Apple VR headset, Apple Vision Pro. Is that what it's called? I'm an Android boy, so I don't know. And just the picture that paints of an individual is like the Vision Pro is one thing. I think there's like great potential for those kind of things and like augmented reality stuff. But driving not even driving a Cybertruck, but like having the autopilot of the Cybertruck while you use a Vision Pro is like more money than sense embodied, I think.
Yes. I have mixed feelings on this. Very, very, very mixed feelings, because like I'm actually pro Vision Pro.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea. I don't like it $3,500 much.
But... Oh no! Would I? If Apple gave me one to review, yes, absolutely. Yeah. Would I ever pay Apple money for it? No, but it is a leap in. Right. Okay. The one point we made last week with Steve is Apple is pretty much bland as fuck. Other than their M series of chips, they've made no innovations in their phones or laptops or tablets in years.
What's the there's the paradox of this is like smaller companies can be more nimble and they catch up with you more, and they're in that stage where they're so big and established that they can't be doing risky shit as much.
But anymore. This is.
Yeah.
And it's good. Like they've got all the computing in the right places. They have all the right number of sensors for it to be a hands-free device without It's in the right direction. It's just stupid too expensive.
Mm-hmm. And it makes you look like a dork.
But all VR kit does, and I fucking love I get motion sick because of my eyesight is terrible, and all the VR headsets with the adjustments in them, I can't use them because they don't adjust to my level of blind.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to wear them where they're just fixed, and I have my glasses, and then it gives me motion sickness. It's just a thing. I don't get motion sickness unless I'm in VR.
Mm-hmm.
But do I love getting a little sweaty playing Beat Saber? Yes. It's fun, and you cannot deny it.
No, it just the phrasing amused me.
Is it the use of the word beat?
No, it was just like getting a little sweaty. Not a lot sweaty. Just a little.
just a little sweaty.
Just a tad. Yeah.
But but yeah, no, like I like VR for that sort of stuff, and this is a genuine leap forward with the mixed reality and augmented reality. Fantastic. Are we allowed to pick on the Cybertrucks first?
Oh yeah.
Right. If you need a pickup truck, a Cybertruck is not it. And like, I spend a lot of time in North America, and there's a whole like needing to have a big old truck mentality with a lot of it.
And it's like, do you need like a big fuck off vehicle, or do you want one with a big truck bed? Because you can look at these like overbred, like massive Ford things, and they have the same truck length as like a tiny little
fucking Power Ranger.
Yeah, like, you know, so do you want something that is going to not fit down certain roads, but makes you look like a pavement
We are
princess?
looking at that with a European eye.
Yeah.
Just to be fair, we are looking with that with a European eye.
I used to have a boss who was Texan and came over to the UK, and he was talking about his monster truck that he wanted to bring over. He wanted to have it shipped over, but that he couldn't drive it in the UK because it was just roads that it wouldn't fit down.
Yeah, the country lanes would be a one-lane track for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, no. So I actually do think there's a lot of people that need trucks over there.
Oh,
like I spent a lot of time in Alberta. Alberta becomes a snowy wasteland. Like,
yeah.
Big truck, normally that are more affordable, because the other vehicles that are like that are usually big SUVs, which are even more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I get it.
And if you're wanting to haul stuff that doesn't need to be enclosed, truck.
Oh, you're a worker. You're like you're a joiner, carpenter, blah 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 blah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. If you're any of those, you're not buying a Cybertruck. You're buying a Cybertruck because you have tiny PP energy and love Elon daddy.
Yeah. You want Elon to think that you personally are cool, and so you're going to give him $100,000 of your own money to own and drive or use the autopilot driving of a fucking death trap. I saw on Twitter today a picture of somebody who drove the Cybertruck off-road, and one of the axles just snapped.
Right, I know Tesla's like the first like 3 revisions of them have the worst fitment and problems like that. But I don't know, but Elon, I think that's a problem.
Have you seen all the stuff about him saying, oh, they're going to be submersible as well? They're going to be amphibious vehicles, and all we're going to need to do to modify them is like modify the seal around the doors. Nothing else is gonna be necessary in order to make like an amphibious vehicle. And I desperately want to sit him down and make him watch the Top Gear episode where they designed amphibious vehicles. Do you remember that one?
Yes. No, my brain is just going, hang on, because the Top Gear took the inspiration from the thing that's in my brain, which is the Lotus Elise in the James Bond movie, the one that turned into a mini sub.
Yes. I saw that. I think I've seen that when I was very small, honestly. It's...
Now I feel old. But like that mini sub was so cool. Like the actual arms, can't remember what they're called on submarines. Ailerons? They're not ailerons. Submarinons? The things that make them point up or down.
Okay.
Like ridiculously cool. The thing is, I've watched the footage afterwards of how people used it, and it was people in full scuba gear because they couldn't make it actually work. They literally just wrapped a carbon fiber shell around essentially one of those mini subs.
Yeah.
Like the little like
yeah.
And it's like, you're not going to turn it in. But back to the point about the Cybertrucks, with autopilot, like one, I'm actually not against autopilot. I just don't trust it right now. Mainly because it's corporations building it for themselves rather than a centralized, legalized system to make sure it is, the same system for everyone where they all behave the same. Because, right now we have 4 or 5 major players in the automated car space.
Yeah.
Like there's Uber's one. There's the Apple Car stuff, which I think is dead, but was a thing, and blah 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 blah.
Presumably, it's still out there running somewhere.
Yeah. But these, there's multiple, but they're all being built independently, which means they will all react differently to situations. And I personally feel that is a stupid, AI assisted driving. Yes, under a single standardized body where when a certain behavior is going to happen, they're all going to behave the same.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we do need extra legal framework to deal with, what if you hit someone? Because, what we have now is that it's your fault.
For the vehicle.
Exactly, that seems good enough to me. All the people saying but what if the AI is a person? It's we're nowhere near that.
Anywhere near the driver. If it's one of the auto taxis, that's a different thing from then the owner of the vehicle is responsible regardless.
Yeah. But it's sort of all the vehicles to put that in, the Cybertruck, which is just the videos of them doing crash tests. Yeah, with no crumple zone. You as the passenger or driver are the crumple zone. That thing comes to anything less than the most graceful stop, and you are getting turned into chunky marinara immediately. And that's the thing that you want to use to test Elon Musk's autopilot on.
Now, I'm going to have to say the worst thing. So autopilot, we agree, good idea in the long run for humanity because we're lazy and stupid. Great. The way we're doing it right now, stupid. Everybody pretty much agrees.
You mean the free market isn't going to produce the best results?
90% of the time, I do believe it does, because that's the reason why we have differences in programming languages. If we're all told to do things in one way and one paradigm, there would be no innovation.
We'd all be stuck using Smalltalk or something. Or Fortran, I guess. But yeah.
Cobol, probably.
Fortran was the first.
It was, but it's the only reason I say that is because I don't know anywhere that Fortran's still operating, whereas Cobol, I know multiple places.
Fortran, everybody in maths and science.
No, that's running on individual machines. I mean running in production servers.
NumPy is written with Fortran.
NumPy is still a local application.
Well, okay, are you all the things that have been trained with it, all of the Fortran is still very much in use.
I was thinking
maybe Cobol in a different way.
Yeah, I was thinking more like Cobol, where there is still most banks in the world still have Cobol servers in the basement, literally plugged up to everything transacting on live information.
Having this conversation last week about if you were going to go and try and get the most bang for your buck as a contractor, what would you learn? And is it Cobol? And somebody raised the
£1,300 a day.
Yep. Somebody else said to me, Java is going to be the next one of that.
No, Java is the same as PHP. It ain't going to die. It's also not going to lose its popularity. It's glued into too many places.
But are people still learning it?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Explain to me how else Elastic, a up and coming unicorny-esque company, is operating and all this, like, and AWS.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like all these people go, oh, that's programmers language. No, it's just a case of more programmers are learning multiple languages rather than just being pigeonholed to one. The language is just never going to die.
Fair enough. So COBOL,
also, you now work at a company which is pretty much exclusively Java. FYI, everybody, Infobip is Java. Woo!
Do we have a Java SDK?
We do.
Huh. Anyway, Autopilot, we're doing stupid things with it. You think the free market is good because it gave us Python, but not in this case.
Alternatives, which is great, unless there's human safety involved, then I think it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And now the thing I'm having with people wearing Apple Vision Pro in a car is the fact that I give it 18 months before it's people watching porn in a car whilst it's moving.
I mean, in terms of safety, the thing, like, how distracted are you is the thing. And I would say that, like, Minecraft is also up there. It just doesn't get the same shock reaction as someone's watching porn while they plow into a tile.
It's a case of I wouldn't believe somebody would do VR Minecraft, as in, like, in a sat position. Like Minecraft, you would expect more to be like Beat
you want to be on one of those
physical space,
like the rigs from the first Alex Rider movie, where it's like you're sort of in this thing where you're, no matter what you do and how you feel like you're moving, you're actually staying in place. And
what's his face from Hackers?
Well, Johnny Lee Miller is the guy from Hackers that I think of.
No. The Plague, the character Plague.
I'm drawing a blank.
The guy who was actually the cybersecurity officer for the oil company behind the Gibson.
I am looking.
Also played the professor in in Short Circuit 1 and 2.
Fisher Stevens?
I believe that's the case.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, that's the dude. It was Plague, I believe, in Hackers.
Was
it? Oh, now I'm second guessing myself. It's Eugene Bedford. Otherwise, Plague. Yeah.
And you're saying
he had one of those. He had one of the 360 big headsets. It glued into the things where he had to run around on the spot. It looks very uncomfortable and unnerving.
Yeah. Like, you want something that's kind of a cross between a sensory deprivation tank and, like, if you're going to be immersed in the VR experience, right?
Yes.
You want to not have outside stimulus.
Yeah, unfortunately, with my idea, you do want the outside stimulus.
I
am bad and terrible, everybody. I am sorry.
I would 100% be doing Minecraft if I had a VR set. Catch me in my, like, modded Minecraft stone block. I'm mining up uranium or whatever. It's great.
Your block game would be on VR. But yeah, like, how long until somebody is doing something like more? Because, like, the use case I've seen most people use it for has been FaceTime. Why would you use FaceTime for it? That means you're using a virtual face, which looks like you're a reanimated corpse.
Yeah, it's like one step removed from the metaverse. The way that like the virtual face thing. It's yeah,
hard pass for me. But, like, the other one has been productivity in the fact that it gives you infinite panels and space to do things. Like, weirdly enough, I do actually see the benefit of that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working from my bedroom this week because I had a cold earlier this week, and so I've been, like, isolated from my housemates so they don't catch it. And I have my laptop, and that's it, and it's fine. But I do miss my extra screens, and if I could just, like, slap on a headset and have arbitrarily many screens, that would be pretty cool. Again, not $3,500 cool, but
to be fair, some of the screens I've seen, the $3,500 seems reasonable.
Yeah.
The Galaxy Odyssey, which is like $4,000.
I can easily see somebody, like, with a digital nomad lifestyle getting a lot of use out of it just for that.
Yeah. But it's still, how long until people are doing things where they're not going to have the transparency mode? It's going to be fully immersed in a vehicle at speed.
Well, I can tell you why I would want to do that today, right now, is if that vehicle is an aeroplane that I'm not piloting.
Yeah, but that's the same as like a taxi. But like, what happens when the train conductor's using it?
Yeah, exactly. But the thing about like, being totally immersed is like, oh, I'm on my flight to Sydney and it's going to be like 29 hours and I want to not have to think about the fact that there's a screaming child next to me, you know?
There is going to be the fact that you're going to make uncomfortable hand motions in front of a lot of people.
Yeah, especially with what you're planning to use the Apple Fry for.
I didn't say I was planning to use it for that. I just said how long until somebody is going to be driving in a car doing that.
Yep.
Using the wrong gear stick to shift. And you know it's going to be a bloke. You know for a fact it's going to be a bloke.
Yeah, probably. Just based on the demographics of who's getting this thing.
No, especially the demographics of getting a fucking Cybertruck.
Yes,
the 10 PP energy, unfortunately, is reduced to the rich, dumb, and relatively powerful.
Yeah. Just overwhelmingly people on Twitter being like, Elon, notice me, I bought the Cybertruck. I remember it wasn't the Cybertruck, it was previous Tesla model, and it was like catching fire in people's driveways, and those people were getting on Twitter being like, Elon, you know I love you and everything's great and whatever, but like, why is this happening to my car? And he would respond with like a shrug emoji, and they would be like, thank you, God, like, bless you for responding to me. It's like, he's not going to fuck you. And if he did, you'd be underwhelmed. Like,
no, if you did, you'd end up with a child.
Yeah.
That man is
and he would name it X.
No, that one's already taken.
No, it would be X with a different string of numbers after him.
Oh, I thought it'd be Sigma.
Which one? The whole alpha male, sigma male, whatever thing, I find so fascinating, but I haven't I find it hard to keep up with all of these. Have you seen like this? It's a YouTube grift thing where it's like, oh, did you know that you're actually a zeta male, and that's why you've never felt like related to the whole alpha male thing? But zetas are actually extra super rare, and you know you should be drowning in women. Basically, have you seen this whole thing?
No, maybe because whenever I hear the alpha male thing, and I say, you know what alpha male means to me for you, that you weren't loved as a child.
Oh, I thought it was unstable and not for public use.
Same difference.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. You know how I like before these podcasts, I usually give people a little bit of warning, like I don't care about swearing. You can pick on me. But we the one rule is we don't pick people outside of the conversation, because inside the conversation, it's a little bit of banter and slightly funny for the audience. Picking on external people is just mean, and we just picked on a few million people.
People who are actually self-identifying as alpha males. I feel like it's different than we're picking on like one specific person. Or I guess Elon Musk is also one specific person. But once you have £1 billion, you cease to like.
You cease to be a person.
Not you cease to be a person, but you cease to have the same like. It's a bit like you shouldn't. It shouldn't be stealing if you steal from a billionaire. It's more like this is it becomes a feat worthy of a like stealing from a dragon. You know, it's their fault if you're able to steal from them because they could have hired better security.
Yes, I'm just out of curiosity. Have you ever heard of a street artist called Focke-Wulf?
Mm-mm.
Right, he got famous on the Tube a few years ago for releasing one putting one of the adverts up in some of the tubes, which was the Tory party are going to cut homeless people in half. Like the advert
I saw those. Yeah,
that's Focke-Wulf. He has another one, and I'm trying to find it, and it's about shoplifting.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to shoplift if you are broke. Sorry, it's okay to shoplift from large corporate controlled businesses if you are broke, in solidarity with shoplifters badge. And I'm like, okay, those big corporates do employ people who do require money, so stealing too much from them is always going to be bad, because then still some little person is hurt down the end of the line. That's unfortunately how this works. But big companies have margins for fuck ups on purpose.
So I did a deep dive on learning about shoplifting a few years ago because I worked retail. I worked in a music shop. And at that time, there were these guitar thieves that were operating up and down the country, and we got hit by them. And what it was they would go in, it was a couple, and one of them would distract the store worker. and get them to like go back to something or other. And the other person would take a guitar off the wall, assuming it wasn't secured securely. And like in our shop, they weren't. And just like they had a modified coat with a big pocket on the inside. Take the guitar off the wall, put it in their pocket and just walk straight out. And they'd stolen guitars of thousands of pounds from various like specialist shops and things. And we got hit by them. And our store manager basically the next day was like, okay, well, obviously we need to be careful about this. They're probably not going to come back. And like, there's not much we could have done to protect against this without being a jerk to all of our customers and like, treating them all as if they were going to do this kind of thing. And then he went on this sort of like speech about how easy and fun it is to shoplift. He was just like, you could do like, yeah, shoplifting is just really easy. People do it all the time. And so I sort of went, that's can't like
morally incorrect.
Me, like, sort of quite a posh upbringing, like a little bit sheltered. Was like, that can't be true. And I went online and I went on like shoplifting Tumblr and shoplifting forums and whatever, and sort of went like, I sort of got obsessed with this idea of like, how are people doing? Like, is this really this entire unseen thing that I've just never noticed people doing? Because you sort of think, oh yeah, I would notice, but actually, would you? I don't know. Anyway, it's fascinating. There are some people who are sort of, they've got their own codes about like, oh, you can't steal from small businesses, you can't do this, that, the other. But even with the shop that I worked at, small business, fairly low margins, none of us saw any consequences for that theft. And with big corporations, like, they would screw over those workers for a penny on the hour if they could.
Yep.
I don't think that shrink from shoplifting is going to be the thing that gets any one person hurt. I think it's going to be just the wheels of capitalism grinding people into dust, as they always have done, and are doing more so as we get towards late stage capitalism.
Just to inform the internet, if you are unaware of who and what Eli is as a human, Eli is aggressively left wing, one step away from becoming communist. Not quite, because Eli also enjoys having money to do fun things rather than being forced to be part of the proletariat. But
I'm still a worker. I still exchange my time for money. I don't subsist through the owning of capital.
You're a self-employed business person now, not anymore.
Yeah, I don't subsist through owning of capital and renting out that capital or something.
No, you are somebody transferring skills in exchange for coin.
Yes. Yeah, no, I am pretty solidly a worker. There's an argument to be made about, like, do you own your own personal brand? I've seen people making that argument about very, very highly paid workers like actors, where they're still being paid for labor, but the availability of that highly paid labor to them is dependent on a thing that they own, which is their brand. So
that's both of those, bud.
Yeah, right. So there
Not
is
all of us have a rainbow frigging brand, but brand still nevertheless.
Oh, for sure.
Specifically for those of you who are unaware, Eli is known to have I wouldn't say rainbow hair. That's definitely Joe Franchetti's corner, not yours. But like,
yeah,
it's always a color of different.
It's usually somewhere in this spectrum. It starts out purple, ends up blue, and then like, yes, I've done it like sort of varying. It's not been green for a long, long time, for example.
But yes.
I've not done orange or something. So
that's not orange. It's called being ginger.
That's true. That's true. I was slightly ginger as a teenager. Where are we at?
We have tangentialed it too far.
We were talking about shoplifting. Fuck a wolf.
That was because of the shoplifting. That's all.
Yeah.
I do believe I'm actually an owner of Fuck a Wolf art because I think he's brilliant, and the fact that I want to support him because he does a lot of free, subversive street art to raise awareness of things.
Yeah, I love those like fake tube ads. There's a group that I'm part of. Not to get too political.
Not affiliated.
No. There is. I will stand up and like I have. So thinking about subversive art, led by Donkeys, did a video recently. They were going to try and project it onto the side of Parliament, and the video was me reading out a thing on behalf of this organisation that I'm part of.
I remember the footage of this. Yes.
Called Nutamod, which is a British Jewish organisation aimed at like right now de-escalating everything, but a sort of broadly pro-Palestinian liberation Jewish organization. And we've been talking about doing some of those kind of tube ad kind of things, because obviously it's a very heavily London-based one, given that's where all the Jews in the country are by and large.
Yeah. The horrible thing is, I'm actually kind of against the sticker arting on the tube. Well, the tube is already quite an expensive service, even though it is...
Oh, the fake ads is what I mean, rather than stickers.
Yeah, but I'm actually kind of against them, because...
But Fucker Wolf is very good and subversive?
I know, I think the advert's brilliant, but I don't agree with the medium by which it's been done, because those adverts are applying much needed cash to the TfL to keep the service affordable for normal people.
Yep.
Like if they removed all the ads and just made it like a ticketed only thing,
the tickets would be much more expensive. Yeah,
it'd be inordinately, like, it's already what, £7 a day or £8 a day now.
Yeah, the stupid thing about that is that on balance, transit pays for itself with its effects on the economy.
Like, yeah, but you can't pay for that without the public purse.
No, you need the money up front to do it.
Because then you need to tax people more to equate for it, at which point nobody would pay the tax. And we as humans are complex beasts of where we're willing to give money to do a thing, but only in certain ways.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yuzu. It's a yuzu flavored pale. It's going to be delicious.
Nice.
Right. Okay. You know what? That's one topic, and we've done a lot. 25 minutes, mate.
Yep.
Okay, right. I'm going to pick the next one.
Go for it.
I don't know what. It's going to be the BBC one that unfortunately doesn't help with the title. And I'm doing it because there's another Elon one.
Oh my God. I'm just reading this.
Holy...
Sorry, I just read the first line of that.
Gina Carano sues Disney and Lucasfilm with Elon Musk's help. Now, I know this isn't very tech-orientated other than Elon Daddy, but...
Well, she was in Star Wars. Can I just read the first line of this article?
Hit me.
Actress Gina Carano has sued Disney and Lucasfilm after she was sacked in 2021 over a social media post in which she compared being a Republican to being a Jew during the Holocaust. This woman is not Jewish. Like, she's not Jewish.
Oh, she's just unhinged. I've just realized this is a trigger one I should not have put in front of you.
No. Listen, I've been on the internet for the last 6 months. I've seen worse. Don't worry. I have been a person who's been literally a public face of like Jewish activism in the last 6 months, per that Lines Led by Donkeys video. Although the comments I got on that were mostly like, who is this fat blue-haired chick? Why does she think she can say anything? And I'm like, did you listen to the words I said, or did you just look at me and go, fat blue hair, bad? Anyway, being a Republican in the States to being a Jew during the Holocaust. I mean, the commonality is inherent to all human beings, I suppose. That, you know, the Venn diagram is not empty, right? The center of that Venn diagram.
Yes. There's also the line that could be drawn that everybody is sentient.
Exactly, right? That's the kind of level that I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
A short time ago, in a galaxy not so far away, defendants made it clear that only one orthodoxy in thought, speech, or action was acceptable in their empire, and those who dared to question or failed to fully comply would not be tolerated. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I know this is
she's doing the freedom of speech thing.
And the like, okay, so she's evil at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is no bueno.
Yeah, so she's making some kind of freedom of speech argument, like, oh, we don't sign away our rights when we enter into employment. But what she doesn't understand is that the free speech protects you from the government, not the employer.
Correct.
Like, as Justin McElroy says, it protects you from the government, not the Justin. Like, nobody is required to give you a platform to air your shitty opinions. It just means you can't be, like, thrown in jail for them. She's not entitled to be in the Star War just because she's a human being.
Star War.
Yeah, like, put me in, coach. I want to be in the Star War. I've got more in common with Jews during the Holocaust than she does.
To be fair, there is also some similarity between Star Wars and that very specific period of history. You know, fascist regime controlling everything in the universe, military.
Listen,
state.
like the Nazis had Hugo Boss on payroll doing their outfits. Everybody takes aesthetic cues from them when they're like, "What should we make our fascists look like?" And it's like, okay, make them look like Nazis. They've got very distinct visual imagery.
Even though all of them look like they're about to ride a fucking horse. Sorry, pony girls. That's all I can see when I see that. But no, the reason this is intriguing me is the fact that Musk is bankrolling it. Like,
she's doing anti-Semitism. He loves that shit.
But no, my guy should have realized that he is using corporate funds provided by, because most of his money, as all these super rich people, is held in
SpaceX stock or whatever. Yeah.
So he's literally using capital held against the brands that he is associated with and owns control of to fund freedom of speech activism where there is no real argument about freedom of speech.
But it gets it gets the intended audience of, like, he wants to get people riled up. Yeah, exactly. He wants to, there's a sector of, you know, again, the same people who are like, oh, please, Elon Musk, will you suck my dick? Like, those people who he wants to enrage them with the idea that freedom of speech is being curtailed. And these people have long ago abandoned critical thinking as a thing that's worthy of pursuit. So it just works.
As somebody who has not been able to leave Twitter, because it is unfortunately still the very active place for my work and role, because I remember you attempting to exit and then
I tried to make a soft exit. I am on Mastodon. I like it. I follow the knitting and crochet hashtags on there, which is great. But
I follow a lot of Hackyderm and PHP.social people there.
Like, a lot of people that I like are on there. But I am still on Twitter because
it doesn't have the reach.
Yeah.
And our job kind of requires that.
Yeah, and just being able to, like, tag companies and stuff and whatever, and yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like that platform is solely owned and controlled by a consortium led by that butt-munching clown. FYI.
I think that's a bit harsh to butt-munching clowns, honestly.
No,
they're upstanding members of society.
No. It describes him ridiculously well, like sucking the sweet corn out of the asshole of all this. Yeah,
just fascist, stupid as well. On every drug. I think they're probably inventing new drugs for him. You right there, mate?
Beer up my nose because of that comment. Oh, you unhinged human.
Listen, I stick to the drugs I know and love. That's another new tech thing that we could have put on the list. Do you want me to throw a new Elon Musk into the crock pot here?
This seems to be the day of Musk, so you hit it.
Neuralink. His fucking putting chips in people's brains shit. That killed, like, a lot of monkeys. And if you know anything about animal testing in the States, it's like they are doing worse than, and they have killed more monkeys than, like, anyone ever has killed. And killing even like a lab rat is a big deal if you didn't mean to. Killing monkeys is like, you are going to have the full force of, like, the whatever Department of Federal Investigations, like, on your ass, which is currently what's happening. But somehow, despite that, they are still moving ahead to human trials. And there are real people who are like, let Elon Musk put a chip in my brain.
I can't remember. Is Altman involved in that program?
Ooh, I don't know.
Because
sounds plausible.
Because it's the neurochip company that. No. Sorry.
I think maybe there's a different neurochip thing that.
No. It was OpenAI was the one that was Elon and Altman started because, and then Elon bailed out because of the corporate responsibility stuff.
Right.
Ironically, the first time Elon left on valid grounds.
Yeah.
He left because he didn't want the commercialization of it. He wanted OpenAI to be the governing body to do things in a good way, which is why the board was made of scientists and sensible humans. And up until November, anyway.
Yeah, and all of that shit show.
And Musk, that was the only time I will ever go, Musk, you made a good choice. Like, you left on the correct ethical ground. Now what's happened to you, you deranged monkey?
Yeah. unfortunately, the real monkeys involved in this all died horribly, or like a lot of them died horribly. Like it's really there's an article I read the other day about like the fairly gruesome deaths of the monkeys, and it's like, oh, you know, none of them could be attributed to having put the chip in. And then they had an interview with somebody who was actually like had an interview with all these researchers, all of whom were like, I do not want to be named because I think that Musk will like come after me. And all of these people who are like lab techs who have trained to work with animals, and in particular monkeys, saying like these were young, healthy monkeys. Some of these weren't even adults yet. There was no reason that they should have died. And they all died from like infections from the chips being put in. One had like the chip came loose from where it was drilled inside their skull. And like, yeah, really, really harrowing stuff. And they're doing it to people. Like, where are they getting the people for this? Who is consenting to this?
Well, the problem is, like, in reality, I am actually somebody who would volunteer to a program like this, mainly because I actually do love the idea of human interface systems, which these neurochips are fundamentally then interface systems, like the ones where people have done the experiments where they've had the chips embedded in forearms to like pick up the signals for that. Like
that stuff's cool. As soon as it starts affecting your cognition.
Yeah, opening your brain up and having something. Well, yeah, the horrible thing is we do that quite regularly. Like
that's fair. And we have things like, you know, pacemakers that are integrated into natural systems that our body, like, you know,
you have Bluetooth for pacemakers now.
Right? Like that kind of stuff I think is really cool. What's not cool is, you know, capitalism gets involved and then suddenly your hearing aid is paywalled or whatever. So that's one thing. I would want my neurochip
for $5.99 you can hear the dogs too.
Yeah, like I would want it to be sort of an open in the sort of software sense. I would want it to not be proprietary stuff, which obviously it will be at this stage. But I would want there to be years of evidence of very safe trials in other animals before I became one of those animals.
Ironically, I would rather volunteer humans, because humans can tell you when it's not working.
They can consent. Yeah.
Well, not even the can consent, because no, like the quality of life for a sentient being requires that the sentient being behaves the same afterwards. Now, with a monkey or a rat or a dog, they're not going to be able to communicate to the same level where you actually know that their like quality.
You can tell it's doing something. Affected. Like we have a hell of a lot of behavioral studies of rats and monkeys, for example.
Yes.
And like so there are things that could be done, but the thing that's getting me about this that I just find incredible in the sense of hard to believe is that they failed at the very first hurdle of, can we implant this thing, not have anything to do with its function be tested, but will it simply not kill the animal?
Yeah.
And they failed at that.
Right. Have you seen
how on earth are they getting...
Have you seen the thing recently about the guy having to play guitar whilst having open brain surgery?
Oh, because they need to make sure that his fine motor control and like, you know, because like a lot of brain surgery, you have to be conscious for precisely that reason. Because
now,
the way that you can tell that you're not
the only people that should be allowed to have this is Bono from U2.
Let's get a list of like all the people who are like really talented at something, but we also would wish misfortune upon.
Hang on. I didn't really want to say that Bono had talent. He's just Irish and knows everybody in Ireland. Wow, that's a stereotype and a fucking half. Sorry, Irish people, you're actually lovely. We all apologize about Bono.
I have no dog in this race. I've never really listened to him, so.
Oh, unfortunately, I was an Apple user when U2 was forced upon my phone. So.
I think I might have been as well, but I just ignored it. Yeah.
Bono will survive with or without you. Thank you, JD. Oh, yeah. But, yeah.
I do get your point about, like, there's a lot more to be gained from using humans for this, because we can be a lot more useful in the debugging process.
Like, personally, I think it should be offered to people who already have diminished quality of life. where they can go through the process and know it's not going to get worse, but they could get so much more from it.
Well, the thing is about it not getting worse is that, like, unless you are willing to accept die of encephalitis as a very likely outcome of this, Neuralink is not for you.
I was thinking more the people in a vegetative state where you can tell they're alive and they're thinking, but they can literally do shit all on the outside world.
Yeah, they can't consent to that either necessarily.
Oh yeah, that's a point of consent. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Like, this shit gets really tricky. I'm not saying that any of the people involved in the ethics side of it have an easy job. I'm just saying the people who are making the decisions at Neuralink are absolutely failing at that job on an unprecedented scale.
Yeah, if you're trying to follow a standard, because it's the FDA process, isn't it, they're trying to follow?
I think so. Yeah.
There is a predefined, and it's very, very well tested over the years. It's been adapted and tested to, like, different testing methodologies, different chemical types, different physical. Like, I know they've done it for all the prosthesis for, like, changing between physical prosthesis to the ones with, like, computing controls to make sure that you don't run into traffic.
Yep.
Like, these are well-established protocols and processes.
Yeah.
And the Neuralink people have kind of fucked it at the first hurdle.
Just seem to be blowing straight past it. Like,
not the first hurdle, the second hurdle. First one was the design and whatnot. They had to get that approved for testing. So,
oh yeah, I meant but
then they've come to the first actual test, and
bye-bye. Yeah, you think about, like, what do you aim to get out of doing animal testing? With one of the goals being, like, is the thing working, which humans are going to be much more useful for determining that. But one of them is this safe to do on a preservation of life level? And it's looking very much like no. Yeah. Wild. Love
it's
to live in
wild. That's the problem. This is, like, I don't know if I'm just becoming jaded or I'm just accepting that. Well, to be fair, I no longer think we are in late stage capitalism anymore. I think we are in neo-feudalism.
It's a lot of things all at once.
I've done way too much reading recently. I'm going, fuck me. I am beholden to my feudal lord.
Yeah.
Which I believe makes it neo-feudalism, I think. Yeah. But regardless, none of this sounds wild anymore. Nothing sounds like, oh my God, this is just sounding like, well, it's not beyond the realms of imagination anymore, which is terrible.
I think there's something to be said for trying to maintain a sense of, like, that's not okay.
Oh,
no. Not losing that within yourself of, like,
no, I'm not saying, like, I don't look at that stuff and go, oh no, that's acceptable. No, it's
just,
like,
I'm not like
in a state of shock when I hear this shit.
Yeah, it's not that I'm shocked. It's just that I'm still going, yeah, that's really fucked up.
Yeah.
I haven't stopped thinking that it's fucked up. Yeah, like, I mean, if you pay attention to, like, I mean, I feel like we've once again veering away from tech. I mean, it's kind of tech because the tech sector has a hell of a lot of like, Israeli influence in it, but, like, over the last few months of paying attention to what's going on over there, it's like, shit's still horrifying, but I'm no longer bowled over by it every single day.
Had the same. I was talking about this the other day about Ukraine, like 6 months ago.
It's just normal now.
And now it's like,
it's horrible that it is.
Oh yeah, another few 100,000 people in Africa are going to starve because of a blown up shipping container. Not shipping container, container ship.
Yeah, like, you sort of realize what the human cost is of all of our little treats and nice, like, smartphones or whatever, and like, sort of the global capital system we live in, and it's horrifying, and you kind of just have to live with that, otherwise you go insane.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have reached peak off topic today, where the topics have been very few, but the off has been high.
Yep. Well, we've thoroughly eviscerated Elon Musk. I hope he gets one of his own chips implanted himself, dies of encephalitis, and nobody mourns him.
Nope. Do not want that.
You don't want that?
No, I want him to be digitized.
Oh, he can never be free. He can never rest.
I want him to be digitized and have no control over anything and just watch it unfold.
We resurrect, like, woke Elon Musk deep fake.
No. Oh my God, I'm going to sound so old now. For those of you not British, there was a TV program called Only Fools and Horses. And they had a few Christmas special episodes where one of the... sketch, you're not that much younger than me, shush. There was an episode where they were in the far future. and Uncle Albert had died and he'd been reanimated, and he was just saying his favorite catchphrase, just electric shocked into place. That's what I want for Musk. He is frozen in place. He cannot evolve as a human. He is stuck. He cannot become better, but he does have to watch the world unravel and see what point he played in it.
Do you think he has enough of a moral center left that would actually be a distressing experience for him?
Yes, because he has children.
He doesn't seem to give a shit about them.
No, like he must by a lot. No, you're correct. There are psychopaths and sociopaths. Shit.
So I know about 2 of his children in particular. One of them is the one with the long string of letters that is his and Grimes. Like, he and Grimes split up and then also had a kid via surrogate after they split up or something. It was wild. But then also he has a daughter. He has a transgender daughter who is like doing her best
because she refuses to acknowledge him as a father.
Well, okay, fine, sure. One of the people who shares genetic material with him, right, is this young woman who has done her best to emancipate herself from him. And she's the only other person that I like, and he's spoken about her and said that like she's been poisoned by wokeness and having gone to college or whatever. And I'm like, good for you. Go and get away from him. Live your life. But like he doesn't. I can't believe that he's somebody who doesn't just see his children as objects that he owns and extensions of himself.
Yeah, now my brain went, people with children usually, like, even if they are self-centered, etc., still have that forward thinking because they're trying to protect their children. Even if they make bad choices, that's still
even if what they think of as, even if what they think of as their children is not who their child actually is, or what they want their child's life to be like is not what that child wants. Yeah. No, I mean, hats off to all my friends who are parents. I could not do that. I would disintegrate.
As somebody who's making the active choice to not add life to this gene pool, agreed.
Well, I can't. I sort of. You were saying you feel old, right? I turned 30 this year. I'm still a baby, and I'm looking at the next few decades of what life is going to be like in the UK, but the world in general, and going, wow. I would not want to be raising a child during that and then have to think about what life is going to be like for them when they're 60. No, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So,
well,
which is my anxiety and the way that I think, the way that I deal with things like that means that I will not do that to myself. But
I don't know if it's the millennial in me, because technically you're millennial as well. You're not quite Gen Z, I believe.
I'm like zillennial. I'm like right on. I'm like a very young millennial. Yeah.
Yeah, the conversation I had recently is like, I'm in my 30s. I am very much an adult. I pay for my own bills, parents are not involved. If I have a child, my dad is going to kick my ass.
Sketch, I love Am I the Asshole? It is my guilty pleasure. I'm on there daily.
Unfortunately, as a non-Reddit person, because if I start reading Reddit, I go down the rabbit hole deep. Not allowed. It banned from my life. But like, no, like, I'm old enough, but if I have a child, I am going to get grounded. That is how it is. Like, I'm 36 and I'm going to get grounded if I have a child. My friends have children. I have been asked to be godfather and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm not old enough for this responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, I've known people who became parents at like 21 and did a fantastic job, and it was what they wanted, and they were ready to do it, and they did all of the attendant like growing up that you have to do when you're responsible for another person like that. Nah, cat is enough for me. Being responsible for the cat, I can barely look after myself. Let's be real. I have to make sure that I get all my nutrients. I'm not doing that for a child as well.
Yeah, we're not talking about my diet at the moment, considering I'm attempting to lose calories, and I'm doing that by eating empty food like noodles. Even though elevated ramen is still... Oh. And I've discovered how to make ramen eggs in the last week.
Ooh.
I know, I'm fancy now. I make alternative eggs.
I ate so much instant ramen, like cheap stuff, not like good stuff, when I was in undergrad, that I'm still now, like 8 years later, only just getting back into eating it.
Unfortunately, the amount of Japanophile stuff and weebery that I am, and the fact that I've been to Japan twice now and I really want to go again, but as a tourist, not for work. Instant noodles are good. But okay, right. You know, we're gonna pick a tech topic. We're gonna have one more tech topic.
One more tech topic.
We've done 50 minutes, and only about 15 of those have been tech orientated. Moving on. No. Fuck. I just read chat for a moment. My brain skipped. Yeah. Would you like to pick our last topic? Even though I think in reality there is
pretty much only one left. Yes. Yeah. Let's talk about Sam Altman's and his 7
No, there's one other.
No,
that you added.
There's one other. What is it? Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah. Cool. Now this one I actually want to talk about.
Oh, okay. Right. Well, do you want to introduce it then?
Okay, all right. So the last news article, you know what? I keep forgetting to drop them into the chat so people actually have a bloody idea of what we're talking about. This one, the title reads, New GitHub Copilot research finds downward pressure on code quality.
Had you seen this? Had you seen like chatter about this before I put it in the document?
No, like I'd seen a lot of anecdotal evidence on the social medias, but no, I didn't realize there'd been any research into it.
Yeah. VS Code have been doing it apparently, and AI makes your code bad. It's the long and short of it.
Now the problem is
they're measuring some certain metrics. So they're measuring stuff like how much stuff is copy pasted, how many things get reverted, how many things get corrected.
Just stating, most code I do is copy and pasted. Like my skill is not programming; it's fucking Google.
But do you copy paste and then go back and like fiddle with it? You know,
sometimes.
Right, because so for example, like code that I've been writing recently, some of it is like, okay, I've gone and looked at like, oh, this is what the minimal Flask app is. I just copy paste that in, and then I'm filling out like what I need each of them to be, each of the roots and whatever. Like I am, but then I have never used Copilot or ChatGPT to help me code.
I have. I will admit I was one of the initial cohort that got invited from GitHub. They did that initial invite of, I think it was 500 or 1,000 devs. Oh, that screen is so white. So many.
Yeah, every now and then you just become brighter suddenly.
Oh, that's the RGB behind me, the camera adjusting, but it's my PC just came alive and it was bright. Anyway, so I was part of the initial, like, I think it was 500 or first 1,000 people that got to play with it, and I played with it. It's like, no, this is making things faster. Except for the fact that my brain is still making me read what it's producing. I'm not just tabbing through.
I mean, I think that's good. I think that's probably...
But that's because it had beta and everything all over it. And I was like, that means I can't trust it. You're giving me a half-baked program and I'm here to fix it.
I think that's still true. I think you can't know that it's not true. How sure are you? And is it sure enough to deal with the heat when you commit something that's broken? Or
now the problem is,
I mean, then obviously you're running your pipelines and you've got your tests and whatever, but like
that assumes the tests haven't been written with them as well, though.
Yep, I have seen so many. Oh, just use AI to generate tests based on your code, and I have a issue with that because I'm a wank about testing, and I'm like, testing is documentation. Like I'm such a like I'm a.
Have you ever read the test for the documentation?
Tests are documentation. They are documentation of what your code is supposed to do, not what it does.
Have you ever all these people that say tests are documentation, I call bullshit because nobody I know has ever read the tests to see how the function works.
I literally tried to do that in a Python SDK I was looking at recently, and I was sad to find that the test didn't do that for me. Because I wanted to know how do I use this thing? And then it was all like dependency injection and generating tests of this, that, and the other, and I couldn't understand it. So, do
I know this SDK?
You may be aware of it. And listen, the great thing about things like open source and things of this nature is that I have the opportunity to go away and improve things. But
that's not open source. That's open code. There is a difference.
Okay, fair enough. I think of tests this way. However, one of the engineering managers who brought me up was a testing crank who was like, okay, here is the right way to do tests. Here is how you do unit testing properly. Here is how you do integration testing properly, etc., etc. So I am somebody who spends a lot of time on writing tests when I have to write them. I try and make sure that they're testing the thing that you actually care about, which is what your code is doing, like what problem is your code solving, and not how it is doing it.
Okay.
Which, if you auto-generate tests from code, you're going to get the latter. Tests are a medium through which you should be extracting meaning from your code and attempting to convey that.
I agree, but I don't like it.
Right? And that's why auto-generating tests using AI from code is all you're going to do is have a really brittle test suite that doesn't actually test what you need it to. And if it does, it will only be by chance.
Yeah, but the
chat agrees with me, man.
The philosophy that the people who say just write your test with Copilot and etc., they're the same people who are, give me a second, produces 50,000 lines of copy and paste testing every line function, which is meaningless code because it's code coverage covering, not testing.
Yeah.
Which is the Node.js SDK, by the way, at the moment. I need to rewrite the entire test suite.
Yes, CC says test should be the contract for the code you write. I agree. This is, I am a test-driven development. I love the idea of it.
The interface is the contract, not the test. The test is the test of the contract, which is the interface.
But the test is how you make sure that the contract is being fulfilled. If the contract isn't being fulfilled, the test won't pass. That should be one-to-one.
This is the same as like an API specification file, OpenAPI, etc. That is the contract. That is the definition of what the interface is to interact with the system.
Yeah. So then you get into what kind of tests are we doing? Are we doing unit tests that but your unit test still shouldn't be doing this is how this is implemented. It should be this is the interface in and out of a function. Because you don't care if you're doing if what you're doing inside of the function, as long as what you're getting in and out is correct for how that function operates as a component of your bigger system.
Right. Okay, I have a question then based upon this, because there was a discussion in the Birmingham Tech, the Brum Tech Slack the other week in the recruitment panel, which was, it is actually genuinely stupid to not let people Google for the answers to questions. The reason
depends. That's what you do in your real job if you want an indication of how effective someone's going to be in the role.
Exactly. Just because somebody has memorized how to describe an object difficulty problem, doesn't mean they actually know how to program the solution.
Yeah.
But I saw a thing which is, you know what? You should allow the candidates to hang themselves and allow them to use generative AI to solve the problem. Because the point of the...
Well, I guess, is that going to be a part of their day-to-day role?
No, the answer isn't can they do the generation. It's can they walk you through what's been generated and why it does or does not work.
I actually signed up to a platform the other day for just freelance hourly paid work. For doing basically that kind of thing for data annotation for chatbots. And it's look at these two outputs that are Python code, explain why one works and one doesn't. Or write your own ideal solution to this and comment it. And it's to help improve these tools essentially. And I'm quite excited to do some of that because I think it's really worth doing. Yeah.
I do believe the thing that now the question is, do you allow people to hang themselves with generative AI if they can't answer the question of why or how it works? Because I think that's the same in production code. Can you justify your work in a PR review?
Yeah,
if you can't justify your work in PR, then we have problems.
Then you shouldn't be committing that code. Yeah.
Yes. Even if you write gloriously efficient code that nobody can read, and thus you can't justify it, then my boy.
I think a good combination is generative AI and Google. So if I get Copilot to spit me something out and I go, I haven't seen that built in before. Let me go Google and see if it's doing what I think it's doing and if it's appropriate for use in this scenario. So you should be able to, I think the more useful thing is giving somebody a bunch of code to essentially review that is maybe AI generated and seeing how they parse and understand and conceptualize what that code is doing. And that might be something that needs them to requires you to go away and Google stuff because nobody knows everything. So I'm a big fan of, instead of whiteboarding for interviews, getting people to do code review for interviews. Because then you can go, if someone goes, oh, I don't like this bit, then you get them to rewrite it. And then you if they want to do the whiteboarding, essentially,
Oh man, but I proved I was the smartest person in the room at Spotify once doing a whiteboard interview.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a massive teacher's pet for it. I love doing whiteboarding. I'm really good at it. I just don't think it's a good metric for how good someone is gonna.
Like, that was for a DevRel role. I'm sorry, if you're going to be asking me the traveling salesman problem on a whiteboard for a DevRel role, I think you've misread the spec.
Yeah, but like I love an opportunity to prove that I'm like the smartest boy in the room, you know. I listen, I've just accepted this about myself and I try not to be obnoxious about it to other people. But like
really?
I try not to be a dick. I'll be annoying. Like nobody is not annoying to everybody, but I try not to actually be like an
I'm annoying to everybody. I don't know. So there's a reason that once I had the nickname Marmike. You either find my annoyance hilarious or absolutely distasteful.
Yeah. But like the code review thing is also, you can see how someone is going to function within the team slightly on an interpersonal level, because if somebody goes, like, you can then talk about how are you going to phrase that feedback to the person who submitted this PR and say, okay, are you going to be constructive, or are you just going to be like, this bit sucks, you know? So it gives you an insight into so there's a great talk that I love by my friend David Whitney, and he talks about like intentionality in code and like why you should do sometimes unintuitive, like things that are sort of like not necessarily best practice in terms of like formatting or whatever, because it increases code readability. And there's this incredible quote on one of the slides, which is, it goes something like, code is literature that we write to communicate with each other that happens to be executable by machine. And the fact that like when we write code, it's like, yeah, it's so that a machine can execute it, but it's also about, it's a collaborative project that we are writing when you're writing in a team, and that you need to be able to function as part of a team in order to effectively write code, not just in order to be a good member of the team, but in order for your code to be good and usable and function well within the context of the business. So I think interviews that give you some insight into how that person is going to interact with that as a concept is useful.
True, but that's then the same principle as simple code beats clever code, because at least simple code can get fixed by somebody else.
Like,
as somebody who accidentally wrote an entire system that ran on one query and adapted thereon, that the query itself was 50 lines long in production.
I love, it's like, I think it's some places in CPython, like the actual C, you know, implementation of Python, where there are some, I think it's specifically in stuff like date time sections, where there'll be one line of code and like 100 lines of comment explaining why this one line is the way that it is. And it's to do with all sorts of trivia about the specific libraries that are being used and all sorts of assumptions and backwards compatibility. And that, to me, it sort of encapsulates the thing where, you know, maybe the code could not be any clearer, but it still needs all of that explanation. Don't compound that problem by being clever.
Yeah. Now you just make me think of all the places I have found and written "There Be Dragons." I think it's
one piece of code that's like number of hours spent trying to optimize this algorithm, and it's like in the thousands. It's like, you have been warned. Once you are done and you have left this algorithm alone, add your own hours to the total.
I think it should be a point of pride for everybody that when a system gets complex enough, they should have to put in the "There Be Dragons" when. For those of you who are unaware, the principle behind the There Be Dragons is it's a portion of code which unexplainably makes things work. You don't know why it works. You don't know how it works, because you read it and it shouldn't work, but everything falls apart if it's not there.
Oh, like the it wasn't a sloth. What was it? It was the load-bearing coconut in Team Fortress 2.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is in the traditional states of There Be Dragons. It's also, this is a ridiculously complex problem that we can't solve, but I should put Here Be Dragons in README for my project. Yes, but no,
it's like a markdown comment, so that it doesn't
Here Be
show
Dragons,
up.
I believe, it's a point of pride. It's that bit of code where you have as a learned engineer doing work and spent time messing with it, realize that no matter how many times you try to refactor or delete this thing, it ain't going nowhere.
I wonder if that is a good use case for AI, though. If you could get it to refactor this thing, that, you know, because maybe it'll come up with something that's absolutely insane, but does the same thing and is somehow more easily teased apart into components that are understandable to humans.
Wow, using computers to compute so hard that they're human. We have reached the point of meta.
Well, not so hard that they're human, but like that they would find a refactoring that no human would find. So like you've got the sort of like nearest maximum, like, you know, you've got the complexity of the code is in a local minimum, right? And it's like you've got your graph where it's like, you know, here's the local minimum and this is where you code. But just like over here, there's a massive dip where actually it could be a lot simpler, but no human would ever make that journey, right? But the computer might be able to. It might be able to find a much more simple way of expressing the same stuff because it doesn't think like a person think, because it doesn't do code in the same way that a person does. It does by like statistics, applies statistics. And then maybe the thing that it spits out is actually something that ends up being more workable as a maintainable piece of code for humans to think and reason about.
I've just had the worst idea and it's Sketch that's given it me.
Yeah?
All Here Be Dragons should just be compiled into the language that sits underneath the language you're using and left there as an importable binary. Like for Java, it could... Does Java have a Python runtime? Java does have a Python runtime.
Yeah, Python.
And it just should be... That's a terrible name.
I know. The C# one is IronPython. There's also Python written in Python, PyPy.
I'm fundamentally against this because I hate Perl. And
Cython is cool. Cython is really cool. Cython is the would you like to optionally statically declare some types and pass it through a compiler first and then get a library that's optimized. I saw somebody give a great PyCon talk about writing an emulator in Python, and it ran at like 1 frame per second. It was unusable. And then they did some slight optimizations with Cython and it became playable, which is super cool.
I'm still going RIP. For those who have yet to find out, PyCon UK be dead.
PyCon UK is not happening this year. I'm very sad about it.
I'm still trying to work out why a committee of people couldn't make it happen. I used to make a conference run on 1 human.
We didn't have a conference director. That was the first thing. And stepped down last year.
You had a committee of them, and I ran this on my own.
It's a big thing. Like it does take a lot of work. The other thing is that the structure of the UK Python Association and like
there's all the committee crap in there.
Yeah, we have all the committee crap. So there's that. Which, then also, while we were trying,
great because it makes it maintainable over a long period of time.
While we were trying to resolve that, right, which we would still had time to do, although it was getting a little bit uncomfortable. Then the venue said, "Oh, that renovation work that we thought was going to be done, it's not going to be done. You can't have PyCon here at the time that you need to have it."
Was this at Cardiff?
Cardiff City Hall.
What happened to when PyCon was in Coventry?
Before my time. But we don't have a venue and we don't have a director, so we just went, nah, not this year.
Come back to Coventry. I can then take the train to go.
But no, it's sad. PyCon UK, it's a lovely community. I would love to do some kind of like, I wonder if we can do some kind of, the thing is that doing a meetup or something, there are people who travel for it and that's only worth them travel for it if it is a conference. So
it is
the community aspect,
business expenses training.
Yeah. So yeah, we might be skipping it this year, which is really sad. On the other hand, it frees me up to do something else around that time, and I think it was scheduled to be around my birthday, so maybe I can actually do something on my 30th.
Okay then. Right. I've just realized we've actually ended on I wouldn't say it's a high, it was quite contentious, but we actually ended on tech.
We did end on tech.
We started on tech, we slumped into metaphysics and fucking
the ethics of capitalism
and ethics of weird shit, and we ended on programming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're going to draw this to a close because I already suck at editing and hate editing. So having too many hours of editing is...
Yeah, and if you give me another 5 minutes, I'll turn it into 2 hours. So don't give me another 5 minutes.
So I'm going to pull the plug on you.
Well, you're cutting me off. I think you've had enough, mate.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to deal with this next week at work anyway, so...
No, you don't. Next week I'm in Sydney. You don't have to see me till Friday week.
Oh, good point. Okay, then that means we get to do the outro piece. So, Eli, for those of you who are unaware of where you are on the internet, please inform them thusly.
I am on Twitter at Eli Holden S. Go to the Infobit blog. My Twitter's linked on one of the pages where it's like, say hello to Eli. I'm also on Mastodon. I'm on Hackaderm as Eli. So at Eli at hackaderm.io.
I was about to say, you do have to actually list the server as well, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's also in the Infobit blog post. I don't think I put my LinkedIn there, but I'm on LinkedIn.
Why would you have put your LinkedIn in there? You don't. I'm assuming, like the rest of us, you don't.
People connect at
use LinkedIn for conversation.
People at conferences on LinkedIn. Yeah. That's
different. Conferences be different from actually having genuine, interesting conversations with humans.
Yeah. Where else am I on the internet? That's kind of pretty much it. And if you do NDC series of conferences, you can come and see me on stage because I do most of those. I think I might be doing every NDC this year.
I think Eli is a shill for NDC.
I love them. I love that community. It's been really life-changing for me. I have
actually submitted to Oxford Lisbon this year, including the one we had a chat about, but I won't be sharing with the internet because I actually need to look into research.
Yep. Really, really cool talk idea that Mike has, and I'll be excited to see it happen. Yeah, I'm around on the internet. I'll be posting about where I am in person on my Twitter probably next week in Sydney.
Is it NDC, by the way?
It is NDC Sydney. They are the people who have the money to fly me out to Sydney to give 2 talks. So
yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's not worth shipping you all the way from north of England to Sydney for a talk.
Well, it was going to be. Then they ran out of money, I think, and I don't know if it is, but they cut down on the number of speakers they were bringing in.
It was
so I'm earning my keep.
Of them to bring another person for X thousand Australian dollary dues.
Yeah, no, but there's a strong Australian contingent that comes to a lot of the European ones as well. So lots of folks doing
down there other than killer animals of every size. Also, if you get to box a kangaroo, want to watch it.
I will not be doing that. I will be lazing around on the beach with a drink and a book and some knitting.
Fine. But, okay. That's where you are. I'm not anywhere until April. JD, if you're interested, next week, if you're still in the Florida area, there will be Infobip events in both Miami and Orlando. I think. Infobip Connect meetups. But I won't be on the road until April, so
What are you doing in April?
No idea.
But you'll be going.
I've just genuinely lost track. I'm literally waiting for my colleague Beata to scream at me, "How are you ready for this?" And my answer is going to be no.
Just throw some clothes in a suitcase and go. Like somebody being given like a surprise holiday. It's like just take your suitcase and go. It'll be fine.
Okay, then. Well,
that's the DevRel lifestyle, baby.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Eli, and thank you for bringing the true chaos that is your brain to the interwebs again. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. We'll see you later. Goodbye.